Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Jessie here from parkbench.com. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Judy Shepalo, real estate agent with the Loft Realty and sponsor and ambassador of local community websites all about Dundas, Ontario and Westdale. Thanks for joining us, Judy.
My pleasure.
How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks. How about yourself?
Good, doing great. Great to hear. So, to get started today, I'd love to find out really like why you originally decided to become a real estate agent.
Well, I'm glad you asked. It was actually my husband's idea, believe it or not. About 12 or 13 years ago, I was doing real estate appraisal. And for years, I was doing that and didn't particularly enjoy it. And as I realize now, it's because it was more about business and numbers and being behind your desk. Whereas the real estate is with people. And as soon as I got into it, and it's sort of like a wide open world and you set your own schedule and it's a bit of a roller coaster and there's a lot going for it, that's kind of unpredictable. And all those things I quite like, but especially the part about working with people.
Amazing. It's definitely an industry for that if you want to be working with other people. Sure. So as an agent, what is it that really sets you apart from other real estate agents?
Well, apart from being quite tall.
How tall are we talking?
Oh, so tall. No, I'm only 5'10". It's not that tall, but as soon as I started with real estate, I thought, I'm going to work with seniors because I've always loved seniors my whole life. Even as a child, I just loved seniors, which is interesting as I age myself, obviously. But I just decided to become a seniors real estate specialist and always focused on that aspect of real estate. But what I do now, I'm really involved in the co-housing movement at this point. I was doing a lot of events for seniors with respect to housing options, such as co-ownership and home sharing. But then I got into this, I took a course from Charles Durrett, an architect who brought co-housing from Denmark to North America. And we decided to start a co-housing community in Hamilton. And so I'm sort of chairing that group, and we're getting there. We've got a consultant, and we're on that road. So my whole thing is giving seniors options for housing rather than just living by themselves or retirement homes. Those are all options as well, but giving them other options that I perhaps hadn't thought about before.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. I just had an article in the newspaper this weekend, and I got a lot of calls from that because a lot of people are interested in the whole concept. It's just you don't live alone, but you've got a blend of privacy and community.
Yeah,
it's a great option.
Wow, we'll definitely have to link that article in under this interview so people can check it out. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm sure with everything you just talked about, you've probably had some pretty memorable experiences with clients. So what's like one story that you'd love to share about a memorable experience with a client?
Well, this was an older man. His name's Ernie. I think he was 92 when I met him. And he lived in Thunder Bay, and he wanted to move back to Hamilton because that's where he is from. And he took a bus from Thunder Bay, which took him 24 hours. He's 92. I met him at the Admiral Inn in West Hamilton, picked him up and showed him houses because he wanted a house. He had a little dog. And I kept saying, are you sure about the house? So then we ended up looking at retirement homes, and he ended up moving into Caroline Place retirement home in Hamilton. And then he went back to Thunder Bay and came back with his little dog Rosie and his red motorized scooter that was completely enclosed, so it looked like a little bubble or a little handicap vehicle. And I used to see him riding around. That there's Ernie. but he was just such a character at that age to move to Hamilton from Thunder Bay with all his stuff in a moving van and his dog, in the seat beside him. He had a friend drive him down, and then of course we kept in touch for quite some time after that. He was just one of many. The older people like that are just so fantastic. Just the energy and the spunk and the the determination to do. Why wouldn't he move back to Hamilton and take a Greyhound bus for 24 hours? It was awesome. And it was lovely to show him around and finally get him into a place that I certainly felt comfortable. I never liked the idea of him having his own house at his age because you just know it's just a matter of time. It's probably not the safest place for him to be. But that's what he wanted. And I wouldn't, if that's what he had chosen to do, I would have said, okay, let's just make sure we've got all the other safety mechanisms in place and whatnot. But it turns out he did decide that the retirement home was probably a good choice for him.
Wow.
and he was
That's a
great.
great story. He
Yeah,
sounds like such a character. And
he
I
was.
think it is really important for agents to be able to be honest with their clients when it's like, I understand that these are your wants and your needs, but like, let's look at making sure this really makes sense for you.
Yes,
So it's
absolutely.
great to hear that you're able to be honest with your clients about that and find the best fit. And that sounds like it was a wonderful
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. And then when he passed away in the retirement home, the doctor, actually, I went to see him in the hospital when he was just about 2 days before he died. And his big concern was his dog, Rosie, right? Because he's on his own. And apparently the doctor who treated him at the end, he said that he would take the dog. And he did. This is the dog. I know. The doctor took the dog.
Oh my
Isn't that amazing?
goodness.
Yeah. And so, of course, Ernie died in peace, knowing that his dog was going to be well taken care of.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
I
That's
know.
such
I
an
know.
incredible story. I'm like getting emotional. That's so great. Thanks so much for sharing.
Oh.
So looking at your life outside of real estate, what kind of things do you like to do for fun?
Well, to be honest, that's something I'm working on. With working as a real estate agent, which is hard work, let me tell you, it's very hard work. It's competitive, it's challenging, it's rewarding, it's frustrating, it's everything, but I love it. So between that and the co-housing, that takes up a lot of my time. And I'm really trying to work. If I was to tell a friend what to do, I'd say you need some balance in your life. And that's what I have to try to practice. But if I did, I would be doing a lot more hiking and reading. Those are two things that I really like doing a lot, is being outside. And, I love animals, and we keep talking about getting a dog, but I look after other people's dogs, which gives me a lot of pleasure, just taking them for walks and having fun with them and that. So but that's and something I'm working on is just on outside of work, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that can be hard as a busy professional, especially when you have multiple projects that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
When you enjoy those things too, I think it's hard to
yeah.
make it the time outside of it. So I'm glad that you're actively working on fitting some of that in.
And if I was like, I spent some time with my brother and his wife yesterday, and that was really fun. And I love my family and spending time with them as well. So,
Amazing. That's
and
lovely.
friends, of course, yeah.
Great. So, being in Dundas, like, what do you love most about working and living in Dundas, Ontario?
Well, I grew up in Dundas, and I left when I was 19, and I went away for many, many, many years, lived different places, and I came back about, I guess, 20 years now, because my dad was ill. And every time, no matter where I lived, I would come home to Dundas, and it was always home. It was always felt like home, and it still feels like home. And I love Dundas. I can't even think of any place I'd rather live, even if I had a choice, which I do, to live anywhere, really. But I just think Dundas is the best little town ever. It's just evolved into this really great little spot, even though it's busier than it used to be. Because when I was here, we moved here in 1960. My parents moved here in 1960. And it was pretty small and little one-horse town, like 10,000 people. And now it's a bustling 25,000 people. And
Ooh.
we got paved roads and everything. It's a great spot. I just love it. It's got everything in it. I always tell people I've got my lawyer, hairdresser, the bank, the doctor, the dentist, all on King Street. You don't really have to go outside of Dundas. It's not like a pretty little town that just has souvenir shops. It's a
Right.
real proper little working town, but it's so pretty, and great restaurants and coffee shops and beautiful stores, and it's got everything going for it.
That's amazing. Well, it's
Yeah.
definitely clear that you have passion for this area.
Yeah.
And that definitely ties back into your community website. So, you being a local minded, community minded real estate agent and sponsoring this local website that is all about shopping local and highlighting small business. So, why do you think it is so important to support the community and to shop local?
Well, I never really liked big box stores, and I don't shop, and I'm not a big shopper to begin with, to be honest, but I don't like shopping malls. I love the small independent shops that we have in Dundas, where you can go in, and usually often the owner's there, and you know them by first name, and you can chat, and they don't have a big turnaround of staff, and they've put their heart and soul into these places, and I like to support them. And we don't have chain stores in Dundas except for a couple. And I'd like to keep it that way. I know other neighborhoods, one in Toronto in particular, that used to be really kind of cool and funky, and everything was replaced with chain stores. It just takes the character out of it altogether. And these places in Dundas, like I say, they're all individually owned by people who probably had a passion and a dream and opened their shop, and they're really different, and they work hard, they work long hours, and yeah, I mean, I'd rather support and keep those businesses in town.
Yeah, That's amazing. It's your community is blessed to have you to be an advocate for them, because I agree. It's these little stores that make the character of all of these communities, and the fact that you have sponsored the site to be able to help support them is really, really incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoy it.
Wonderful. Great. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It was really great getting to know you a little bit more and being able to show this to all of your viewers.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for tuning in. Once again, this was Judy Shepalo, real estate agent with the Loft Realty. Be sure to check out her local community website at parkbench.com/Dundas. And if you have a local business and you want to be featured, be sure to reach out to Judy today. Thanks so much for taking the time to chat, Judy. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed it too. Thank you.
You're welcome.